The show is Cage Minds. I'm Mika Frankl. Our guest is Juan Adams. Sir, thank you for the time. First off, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just grinding every day, working, training, doing it all. Just a little more tired than usual, but it's the name of the game. I'm happy, I found purpose and work outside of fighting and, have a renewed vigor for fighting. So just ready to go.
We're going to see you back in the cage, San Antonio, Texas, Fury FC, and that's February 6th against Aaron Rosa. First off, I want to start with asking you, what has it been like returning to Fury FC? That was a promotion where you had most of your amateur experience. What's it been like now returning?
It's been great. It was good. A lot of the promotion staff I got to interact with, the Texas licensing committee, I got to work with them again. So it's kind of been like going back home. It's a lot of fun. I love doing it. They get me fights whenever they can, and they've been able to continually find opponents for me. So I can't complain too much.
As you've been kind of reinventing yourself, has staying active, how important has that been?
It's been very important. As you get older, those weight cuts get a little bit harder. So it's helped me really center and kind of compartmentalize and be really strict and diligent in my schedule setting, as well as, my workout regimen and all that.
Being diligent, focusing back in on fighting. How long did it take to get to the position where you're at right now?
Took a long time. Obviously, probably like 10 or 11 pro fights. My 10th fight, or my 10th pro fight was really the first time I was able to calm myself from that anxiety during fight camp, and even before the fight, to really calm myself down. And you still feel somewhat nervous, but I don't have any issues like getting started now or going in there. Before, it would take me, a few punches to really wake up, and sometimes it's too late,
I know that from when we talked a long time ago when you were with the LFA, a big competitive background, wrestling at a high level. Was there a different kind of anxiety, emotional feeling that comes with a cage fight?
Yeah, it's something I never really got over when I was wrestling. Even collegiately, I never truly got over those nerves. I was so performance and results driven. But with MMA, it really opens up, and fighting's a really spiritual experience, man. You can't hide behind anything. There's no consolation when you lose. Like, in wrestling, in a team match or a team tournament, you get eliminated or you lose. And, there's still that, well, maybe my team won, or I didn't get pinned, so I didn't give up that many points, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas, in fighting, you either win or you lose. There's no real if, ands, or buts about it. Like the one decision loss that I had, I felt I won that. A lot of people looked at the stats and they felt I won that, but it doesn't matter. It's still a loss on my record. And, no matter what else happens, and no matter how good you look before the fight, my last fight I was dominating, and then, granted it was an early stoppage, or I felt it was a bad stoppage, but it still goes down as a loss, and that's something I have to live with. So there's no real consolation, or there's no consolation, and there's no silver linings really, even when you lose.
I feel like it's a little deeper than that. With martial arts, there is the process of the fight camp, and I feel like there is always some growth. So I don't really say a consolation prize, but there's new attributes gained throughout the journey. It's 4 fights since your time with the UFC. Rejuvenated, a different Juan Adams. What do you feel like has changed with your game or been sharpened?
I feel like I've really gotten back to my grappling roots. My entryways have gotten a lot better. I'm not as nervous on the feet anymore. I still don't really, pull the trigger as much as most people like to see heavyweights do. But, I'm seeing things a lot better. I'm getting better exchanges when I go in there. The weight management's a lot easier now. And I'm not miserable. It used to be I was miserable for 8 weeks leading up to a fight, and the fight night was the reward. But now it's really something that I enjoy preparing for. You know, I don't struggle through a fight camp. I'm not miserable. I'm happy, you know, for the opportunity to go out there again. So that's been a really big difference.
Talking about your development in the striking realm, looking at that Richard Odom's fight, you don't see a lot of guys your size with a teep kick like that. Landed, I think, twice in that fight.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot more confident in my kicks. Before I used to kind of throw them out there. Now, like every now and then I'll just slap it just to make sure they're wary, but I can really put a lot on my kicks now. I'm checking kicks a lot better now. And I'm not absorbing as much damage anymore, which is a really big change for me. You know, it's things that I've always had in my arsenal, but I've always kind of been hesitant or afraid to throw them, and I'm not anymore.
From your size, it's easy to control just how massive you are. Do you feel there's any advantages in any different position? Like some guys really like half guard versus side control. And I always think that half guard just looks the best because you have that leg, you're across the body. That's a lot of control.
Yeah, I love half guard, but there's different ways to be in half guard. You know, there's the one where you're kind of more at an angle, and that leaves your arms open a lot more. But half guard is my favorite position to be in, on top, or even the turtle position, because it reminds me a lot of wrestling, and it's a ride where I can just really tire my opponent out, give space when I want them to try and get up and expend energy, and then slam them back down. So half guard and turtle are really two of my favorite positions.
Talking about the training you're doing, you do it at the Jackson Wink Academy. And you've lived down here now for a little bit in Albuquerque, right?
Yeah, 2 years now. 2 years.
2 years now there under the coaches. How do you feel that chemistry and relationship has developed?
I mean, I feel like it's developed really swimmingly. You know, it's at a point now where I kind of know the game plan the coaches are going to give me. They're super confident in my abilities. They're just waiting for the chance for me to get back to a big show so I can really showcase the growth. And, you know, I know their tendencies. I know their style of coaching. And that's been really huge. And I've got great relationships with all the coaches here, especially the main three MMA coaches. We've got Greg, we've got Coach Wink, and then, of course, Joey. So that's kind of like the three main coaches I work with just due to time constraints now. And Joey's actually cornered me for, I think, 3 of my last 4 fights, and he won't be able to make this one. But, I mean, it's one of those things where as soon as we got the opponent, we set a game plan, and we're so confident in it. Like, we really feel like could go in there without a coach and win this fight.
For Juan, we obviously understand your path of least resistance almost in every fight is you getting on top of guys, using that wrestling pedigree. How much or how important throughout camp is it working on different entries to disguise inevitably what you're trying to do?
It's super important, you know, and we want to get to the point where I'm not just that's not my only way of winning. You know, we want to get to where, you know, I can win a technical stand-up matchup if I need to. And obviously, you know, it hasn't really gotten there yet, because as soon as I see an opportunity for a takedown, I do it. And I know once I get the takedown, it's usually going to be over. So, you know, sometimes when I'm in there, that's how my brain works. It's just like, all right, I want to get this over with. And, you know, that's for better or worse, that's my default. And we're not really trying to break that default, but we're trying to, you know, use it more as a tool as opposed to just that being my go-to all the time.
And we're seeing you manipulate these bodies, getting them on the ground. When do we start to see you manipulating limbs? I think that could be the next evolution of the ground game, you taking some submissions.
Definitely. And, you know, I do have a lot of submissions. You know, I roll a lot. I do a lot between 10th Planet out here and the Gracie Baja open mats and obviously working with Greg. Like, I know submissions. It's just, for me, I grab a submission and it doesn't work, like, okay, whatever. But, you know, I hit you. You're going to feel that every time. So,
So it's a lot about, you know, what you do, what you're comfortable with is effective. And it's hard to do something else when it's being effective.
right.
So as we head into this fight, Aaron Rosa, I saw the name and I had to double check because this is a guy that you probably saw coming up in the Texas scene a long time ago. He's been away for a while. Any backstory on how this one came together?
No, you know, I asked for another fight immediately after my other one. I wanted a rematch, and you know, his team said no, promotion said no, so it was like, all right, well, give me whoever will take it. And Aaron Rosa was looking to fight, so I guess not a lot of guys wanted to fight him either. So yeah, sure, why not?
It's a sour no. Didn't like the stoppage. Can't change it. Do you feel like that hurts the momentum? Like the big shows are going to look at that, or with it being readily available for people to access, you know, people know how the fight went down, and that really doesn't hurt where you're trying to get to.
Yeah, I feel like anyone that actually watched the fight, that's not really gonna hurt my momentum at all. But um, it really ultimately doesn't matter. You know, I've got, if the UFC offers, we have a Zuffa out in my contract. You know, if another big promotion were to want me to fight for them, it'd be harder to get released from this contract. But at the same time, you know, I've got 3 fights left on it. So 3 more wins, that makes me an 11-4 heavyweight. I mean, there's not a lot of heavyweights out there with a record like that, even fewer with the finish rate that I have. So I'm not hyper concerned about it, and I try not to look too far ahead right now. Just accepting things for what they are and adapting best to it from my position. That's all I can do.
Obviously, not the success you wanted in the UFC, but so far in this time away, in these 2+ years, feels like you've got to address just a lot of things within Juan. Do you think that would have happened had you had success in that tenure?
Definitely not. You know, when I was in the UFC, it was at a point in my life where it was really a dream come true. You know, a recognized professional athlete. You know, I had everything that I wanted as a kid, but I wasn't really the person that I wanted to be at that time. And had I had that success, it would not have inspired a change within me. And, you know, again, it goes back to kind of accepting circumstances for what they are and then making the most of them. You know, I had to kind of get out of that mindset of, you know, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to stick with it, and just kind of bulldozing through all my problems or all my adversities, or, you know, getting a plan in mind and trying to force the world to adapt to me. Now my philosophy is more so of, you know, taking the world as it is and adapting myself to make it better. And that's all I can really do.
You told me earlier, you shared that you're a high school teacher currently. Any students recognize you from some of the big fights?
Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of my coworkers do. I actually don't mention that I'm a pro fighter to anyone. When I first meet them, they ask, you know, what I do outside, and I tell them, like, yeah, I do fight professionally. I still do it, and I kind of leave it at that. But you know, within my first couple weeks there, the students had all Googled me, and a lot of the teachers had to, and you know, it was about a week where I was just like, man, I didn't know that you did all this, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I was a part of my life, but it's past now, and I'm focused on the job I'm doing, and I kind of leave it at that. So it's funny, but you know, that recognition is going down, and eventually I try and think of it like this, and it's what I tell myself before every fight. You know, this isn't what you're known for. This isn't what you're going to be remembered for. And that's kind of how I look at it.
I was just hoping this was going to lead to a story like, yeah, first thing I do when I walk in a classroom is put it on a tablet and be like, so when Mr. Adams says be quiet, I thought that might have just been a quick little lesson. You give them 5-minute round, boom, everybody understands. Listen to the teacher when he says so.
No, I wish, but you know how high schoolers are, especially, you know, at that age, they're trying to establish their place in the world. So it's dealing with a lot of ego. So I feel like that would just invite more problems than solving them.
I also got to ask, still repping the nickname, the Kraken?
Definitely. Yeah, that's still my nickname. You know, it's at a point where I like it. My fighting style is kind of that of, you know, dragging you to deep waters and just drowning you slowly but surely. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's it just fits pretty well for me.
And that leads me to ask, did you have any kind of feelings either sort of way when the announcement was made that you had to share the nickname with the city of Seattle and their hockey team?
Not really. No, not at all. You know, there's not a lot of crossover between my fans and hockey fans. You know, Seattle's a pretty cool city. They've had a lot of success sports wise. So I can't really knock it, and it's not something I can really change. I can't be like, hey, y'all got to change that, because I mean, they definitely have more money than me, so that wouldn't work out too well.
Oh, come on. You got that single collar tie and those uppercuts just like the hockey players.
Yeah.
Juan Adams, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the time. Great catching up with you, sir. How can everybody keep up with you on social media?
You know, it's Chosen Juan 285 on Instagram and Twitter. I'm not quite as active as I used to be on there, but you know, I still crank out stories all the time. They're pretty funny. And then my Facebook fan page is Juan the Kraken Adams, so you can find me there.
Oh, and I got to mention, actually, before Juan had left his full-time job to become an athlete, I got to say, you were like a top 3 follow on Facebook. The stories of break time or what you would do in the restroom, man, just hilarious.
Oh, yeah, the Kaga Kon Kraken. Yeah, that was my poop stories. That was always fun.
Thank you, sir, and nothing but continued success.
No problem, man. Thank you so much.